He has spent more time in space than any other American, and now he's talking to us from the International Space Station. Joining us right now is Expedition 45 Commander Scott Kelly. Commander, a year in space is what you're going to wind up spending. Who did you hack off to get that assignment?
Well, there was a long list, but actually, to be honest with you, there were a lot of people in our office that wanted to do this. It's, it's an honor to be the first American to spend this amount of time in space, and it's, a challenge, and I look at it as a real privilege.
Absolutely. Commander, what do you hope to accomplish in your year in space?
Well, on NASA's horizon, hopefully not in the too far distant future, is a journey to Mars. And there are still things we need to know about spending the amount of time in space that it will take to get to Mars and, safely get back to Earth. And the space station, while we have it, is a incredible opportunity to learn those things with regards to, mostly in this year with regards to our health and the negative effects that this environment can have in our health and how to mitigate those effects. So it's, it's a great laboratory we have and a great chance to learn those things we need to know to go to Mars.
Sure. Of course, Commander, your brother is Mark Kelly, is an identical twin of yours. Are you essentially a human guinea pig? They're trying to figure out if one guy spends a year in space, how will that impact his body as opposed to the guy, his clone, who's here on Earth?
Well, at some level, all astronauts and cosmonauts are human guinea pigs in that we participate in a human research program that we are the subjects. And with regards to my brother and I, it was a good opportunity once I was assigned to this flight for NASA to use him as a ground-based control subject for some of the experiments. We had data on him for a very long time, and he's familiar with the program and how we do things. So it was a great opportunity to learn some extra things on this flight that we wouldn't have necessarily had we not had somebody that was a very almost identical match genetically.
Mm-hmm. Commander, first of all, tell us where you are in the International Space Station right now. I mean, you got wires everywhere. It looks kind of like just part of an airplane or something like that, but how far in space, how fast are you going, and where are you right now?
Yeah, so I am in the U.S. Destiny Laboratory module. It's kind of the main primary module for the U.S. segment of the space station. It's part laboratory, part bridge of the Starship Enterprise in a small way. And we are, 250 miles above the surface of the Earth, traveling at 17,500 miles an hour. And we are currently over Australia, and it is nighttime. And in about 45 minutes, or less than 45 minutes, we'll be flying over the United States.
That is so cool. Commander, you're kind of floating around. If you are weightless right now, do you mind doing a flip?
Done.
I love that. I want to be able to do that. What sort of training does somebody have to go through to be an astronaut on the International Space Station? There are a lot of kids who still dream of growing up and being in your shoes, Commander.
Well, we have a lot of training once we get selected, and, it's several years, and then there's flight-specific training. That's another, 2 to 3 years. But, I look at it as I basically started training for this job when I started going to school, and everything I've learned and, all my experiences, especially as I got older in the Navy, operational type experiences are very important to working in this environment. So, what I tell kids is it's very important for them to focus on their education and then focus on kind of broadening their, horizons and their abilities with regards to do things that are, kind of an operational nature. You see around here, this is a very busy place with all kinds of equipment, wires, computer equipment, things like that. We can't call the repairman. We have to fix this. We have to understand how these very complicated systems work. So, everything you learn along the way is important to doing this job the right way.
Sure. Our friend down here on Earth, Pete Hegseth, is an Army vet. I know you're a Navy guy. He's going to go through astronaut training in Houston next week. Do you think an Army guy could actually hack what you're doing?
No, I don't think so. I think we should have mostly people from the Navy up here. Actually, I'm joking. When I got up here, the commander was Terry Virts, Air Force guy. The last time I was up here, the commander of the space station when I first got here was Doug Wheelock, an Army guy. We have people from all services, and we're all professionals. We are all very capable people, and we also have people that aren't from the military. And I'm currently retired Navy, but we have people that started off in the astronaut program as civilians. And the important thing is to have, people that, work hard, that, are relatively smart. I don't think, consider myself the smartest person out there, but, have people that are, relatively smart, but more importantly, to be able to work as a team, because it is a team effort, not only with the folks up here that work up here, but also the folks that we deal with on the ground that make this program happen.
Sure. Commander, when you are in space for a year, are you on social media? Are you able to communicate with your loved ones on Earth on Twitter? And what food are you going to miss the most so that as soon as you land, you say, take me to this place?
So we have pretty decent capability with regards to email and a Skype IP type, voice over IP type phone system that allows us to communicate. There's a little bit of a delay. We do have an internet connection that is, it's probably a lot like dial-up was. If I'm sure the kids out there don't know what dial-up is, but it allows us to get on the internet. It's slow, not ideal, but better than not having anything. So there's pretty good capability there to communicate not only with your friends and loved ones, but also with the public in general. And as far as, what type of food I'll get when I land, we land in Kazakhstan, so it's not like I can get, something like a corned beef sandwich from New York City or some, New Jersey, New York pizza, but they do the best they can, and hopefully when I get home, I'll get up to the Northeast pretty soon.
Well, I tell you what, Commander, when you land, come to me here in New York City, and I'm taking you out for a big steak after a year in space. Commander Scott Kelly, good luck to you, sir, and thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Great to talk to you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Fox News portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from CBS Evening News.
Station, this is CBS Evening News. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the space station.
Thanks for having us and taking some time with us, Captain. We appreciate it. I want to start out by asking you, I know you're doing a lot of multitasking up there. To what extent do you see your job as an ambassador building the case for space exploration?
Well, we have a lot of jobs up here, and that's one of them. Our other jobs are doing we're scientists, we're researchers, we're operators of the equipment, we're repairmen, we're the housekeeper, the person that cleans the place. we have to fill all these roles, but being the ambassador for spaceflight is also one of them, and it's important. And we have, a unique perspective up here, living and working in this laboratory, that it's important for us to share this program as best we can with the taxpayers and the people around the world that pay for this program, because it is an international program.
How much easier is your job of sharing? How much easier has that job been made by social media?
Oh, I think it's not only easier for us to do it, sharing the space program, but I think in general, the public affairs role for different organizations have changed, greatly with social media. Each person kind of becomes their own, for good or bad, a public affairs department. So, it's something I enjoy doing, and I think it's something I hope that the public enjoys as well.
All right, so you've been setting some records, some longevity records, as far as the American who has spent the most cumulative days in space, and now you're on your 221st day, your longest period in space. When you do that kind of longevity, I'd like to know, what are the biggest challenges, not just physically, but emotionally, being in space for that duration of time?
Well, it is a long time. Fortunately, I had flown 159 days previously, and that felt like a long time, and I've been up here much longer than that. And I have a long time ahead of me. So, I tried to prepare for that, and I recognize that I'm in this enclosed environment. I can't leave, and that's probably the hardest thing, is that you don't have the freedom to just walk out your front door and breathe the fresh air and put your feet in the grass, and those kind of things are, besides human contact, are the things that we miss the most up here. So I think the best preparation is just trying to understand the situation we're in, and coping the best way we can.
People think of the romance of space, and everyone on Earth envies you being up there on the cutting edge of exploration, but not every day is probably a great day. It's like any other part of being a human being. You probably have some down days too.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're doing anything, you're going to have anything that people do, you're going to have good days and bad days. For me up here, though, they've been mostly good. I try to be a pretty positive person and have a pretty good outlook on things. And understanding that this is a real privilege to be able to, represent my country and, be a part of this. And, as the first, 1-year crew member for the United States, at least, is, something that makes it a little bit easier.
Now, you said you couldn't just walk out your front door, but last week you did take your first 2 spacewalks ever. After thinking about that for years, what it would be like, how did the reality compare to what you thought it would be?
Well, I thought it would be hard, and it was hard work. A lot of people probably wouldn't believe this, but it wasn't really fun. It was kind of that type 2 kind of fun, and it's fun when it's over. While you're doing it, you're like, oh, this is really hard. And but when you're done, you're like, wow, that was a lot of fun. It's kind of like that kind of fun. And the view was a lot better than I thought it would be, which really surprised me. We got another one here coming up on Friday, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope it goes as well as the first one. We're working pretty hard towards that goal.
So it might be a fair way to describe it. You don't like spacewalking. You like having spacewalked. I
guess I could say that. It's pretty challenging. It's also a pretty risky environment out there, so it's not that like we kind of fun, you have when you're on a roller coaster or something like that. But it is, it is fun in hindsight because it is, it's so much of a challenge.
I want to ask you, you mentioned the views. I want to ask you about sunrises and sunsets, because you get a lot more than 2 a day. I think by our count, 3,500 so far this trip. Are they all the same, or do some sunsets look better and different than others?
Well, they all vary. Not only do they vary in how they look, because of the the environment and the atmosphere, but they also vary in how long they last based on our orbit and how our orbit is in relation to the sun. So some last longer than others. They're all spectacular. Sunrises on Earth though are pretty incredible too, and they're kind of hard to compare to the two. But the good thing about the ones on Earth is I think they vary much more in how they look, in their appearance, and they last much longer because, you're not going around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour. But like you said, we get a lot more of them up here.
When you had been looking at sunrises and sunsets from inside the space station, is there any difference from when you're observing a sunrise or sunset while you're spacewalking?
It's incredible, the difference. Like I said, I didn't, I'd heard people tell me that the view is just amazing. And I thought, the view is pretty amazing up here, looking out the window. How could it be much more amazing? But when you're looking through one, pane of glass that the helmet visor is, and how your face is kind of up in the visor, so your field of view is much greater. It is just a completely different level of, color and brilliance that you see of the Earth than we see here looking out the windows. Although, this is a great view, it doesn't really compare to being outside.
Captain, I got time for one more question. The mission of the last 15 years has been to obviously further humanity's understanding of space. 9 years left on this mission. What do you hope to find? And make an argument for why it should be more than 9 years and this kind of exploration needs to continue.
Well, being a, former member of the military, I don't like the idea of, giving up ground that we've taken. And this is a foothold in space, the International Space Station, where we continue to learn things. So far we've learned an incredible amount on how to build the life support systems, electrical system, the procedures, the operations, the working with the ground. We've learned a lot about human health and how this environment, negatively affects our bodies, but also how to mitigate some of those effects. And there's a lot more to learn. Now, whether 9 years from now, if or whenever we decide to, retire the space station, because at some point we probably will. I mean, I guess you could keep adding on modules and maybe taking away ones that no longer serve their purposes. But, if we don't continue this space station, I hope we're continuing another, or, something on the moon, and eventually, possibly Mars, or will be Mars, hopefully not too far in a distant future.
Captain, thank you so much for your time. I will say hi to West Orange for you tonight on my ride home to Montclair.
Thank you. Enjoyed talking to you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
And thank you, Fox News and CBS Evening News. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.